In this video, we're going to be talking about protein transport across membranes, more specifically, transport into the mitochondria. To begin, it is important to remember the two protein transport complexes that are required for this to happen, the translocase of the outer membrane and the inner membrane, otherwise known as TIM and TOM. These are responsible for pulling proteins from the cytosol into the inner mitochondrial matrix. The first step in mitochondrial transport involves the unfolding of proteins into their primary structure. This allows for the signal sequence to bind in a later step. Once the protein is unfolded, the signal sequence can bind to the receptor protein located on the outer mitochondrial membrane. This receptor protein then performs lateral diffusion until it meets with the TOM complex. When the receptor protein meets with the TOM complex, it begins to actively push the protein being transported through the translocase outer membrane, and once again, lateral diffusion takes place. Once the two complexes are in close contact with one another, the TOM complex feeds the protein to the TIM complex.
Next step is TIM uses the ATP to physically pull the protein into the mitochondrial matrix. And once it's inside, another enzyme known as protease comes in and removes the signal sequence located on the N-terminal of the protein. So a special type of proteins known as chaperone proteins come in and help refold the proteins into its mature form. After it's folded, the protein becomes active, and if the protein had to be inserted into the inner mitochondrial membrane, then additional sequences are required.
And that concludes protein transport across membranes, more specifically protein transport into the mitochondria.